Bold Bakers! This week I made puff pastry as part of Bold Baking Basics. Then I turned to my social media and I asked you, what should I make with the puff pastry? Unanimously, you actually said something savory, and Samia requested more Pop-Tart flavors, so we are going to make Savory Pop-Tarts. I'm going to be checking my social media throughout the episode because what you request will determine what I make. So let's get baking together. So here's my puff pastry. Now it is really easy to make if you haven't already seen the video. There's not a huge amount of folding like you normally see in traditional puff pastry, but it has great results, so make sure you check that out. So just go ahead and dust your counter with some flour. My puff pastry has been out of the fridge around 5 minutes or so it's easier to roll. And what we want to do is just roll it out until it's around 1/4 to 1/2 centimeter thick. So if you see those bits of butter, that's what makes puff pastry really flaky and delicious. Lots of butter. Okay, that's it. I can feel that my pastry is still nice and thick. Looking good. So now I'm going to take my ruler and my pizza cutter, but you can also use a knife, and we are going to cut out rectangles that are 3 inches by 4 inches. Remember when you're cutting them out that we need 2 pieces for each Pop-Tart. Then when you have your rectangles cut out, lay them on a tray lined with parchment. Leave around 2 inches between each piece of pastry on the tray so they don't bake into each other. With any leftover pieces of pastry, just fold them on top of themselves and roll out again. We're going to make as many Pop-Tarts as we can. So our puff pastry is cut out and it is ready to go. So now let's determine what flavors we're going to make. I'm going to go to Facebook first and see what's going on over there. Alison Lee suggested steak and Guinness pie. I like the sounds of that, Alison, but I don't have steak in the house right now, so we're going to go with something that I do have. And Lynch said salmon plat. I adore salmon in puff pastry. I love it, love it, love it. So I'm going to put a pin in that for later. Here's one. Eleni Catherine Adams said cheese scones. So we can incorporate cheese into one of these. So I'm going to take a little bit of that. And Tom Rad suggested a chicken and ham pie. That is something very typical that we would have in Ireland, chicken and ham pie. They're really delicious. I do have ham and I do have cheese. So we're going to make a cheese and ham Pop-Tart. So for this Pop-Tart, all you need is some cooked ham, kind of like sandwich ham. Generally, this is always in my fridge, but this is a good opportunity to go through your fridge and see what you have, and then you can come up with your own flavor combinations. And then when you do, make sure you share them with me on social media because I love to see your creations. So on top of the ham, I'm going to add some cheese that I grated. Now this is cheddar cheese. In Ireland, we are really fortunate to have fantastic cheddar cheese with lots of flavor. It's salty, it's creamy, it's yummy. When making your little Pop-Tarts, just remember not to overstuff them because they can have a tendency to pop open in the oven. Okay, so that's that one. Fantastic, great idea, I'm loving it. On to our next one. So I am on Instagram right now. There's lots of messages coming in even as I'm saying this. And I'm seeing a lot of requests for samosas. I love samosas as much as the next person. I won't be making them today, but I will put a pin in it for later. Maybe it's something we can do future, but I absolutely love them. Definitely I'm getting the vibe of something vegetarian, which I'm all about. So there's a request here from the Brown-Eyed Brunette, and she requests something creamy and something savory. So I have just the trick because in the fridge I have some ricotta, which is very savory, and I also have some spinach. So we mix those two together and that will make a lovely savory Pop-Tart. A spinach ricotta filling is so easy. All you need is some spinach that has been cooked. You can cook it yourself or you can buy spinach that's already been cooked and frozen and then obviously defrosted. If you do buy that, make sure you squeeze out the water because it can have a lot of water in it. So we get some of that. And then we have some ricotta because it's spinach and ricotta. If you can't buy ricotta, what you can use is actually my homemade cream cheese, and that will work really, really well in this recipe. Now into this, to bind it, we are going to add in 1 egg. Now, if you don't eat eggs, that is totally fine. You can just leave it out. All the egg does is just kind of thickens it and binds it better together. But you can leave it out if you don't want it. We're gonna add in a generous pinch of salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. And then just mix it all together with a fork. These are the kind of recipes that I love because you don't have to stick to the rules. If you don't like ricotta, you could add in mascarpone. You can make them any which way you like. If you want a little bit of heat, you can also add some chili flakes in there. That will work really well. And then just mix it until it's really well combined. I'm listening to my phone going off and I'm hearing that Johnny, who is a huge, big supporter of my channel, thanks so much, Johnny, he's asking for apple turnovers, and actually so are a lot of other people. I am going to remember apple turnovers when it comes a little bit more into the fall, and then maybe I'll do it then. But it's a great idea. With your spinach mix, just put a big spoonful in the center of your piece of pastry. And remember, leave a little rim around the edge because we need that bit of pastry to then make our pastry sandwich for our Pop-Tart. Okay, 2 Pop-Tart flavors determined by you. These are looking fantastic. I can't wait to see what we're going to do for our next one. Okay, so on Instagram, still lots of great suggestions. Strudel, milfouille, all great ideas. Something that's really standing out to me is a request from Izzy, and she said a pizza Pop-Tart. Now, I am all about that. I think that is a fantastic idea. I actually met Izzy not so long ago in Santa Monica, and we had a baking day together. It was a lot of fun, so I am really excited to do this one. Pizza Pop-Tart is really simple because we're just going to take everything we love about pizza and put it in some pastry. So here I have a little bit of pizza sauce. Now I have a recipe for this on biggerbolderbaking.com along with the recipes for all of my other Pop-Tarts. Be careful not to put on too much sauce because it can flow a little bit. Next up, my favorite part of pizza, mozzarella cheese. Yummy. Pepperoni is my favorite pizza, so I'm gonna put on mini pepperonis. But you can do any flavor pizza you like. I like dried Italian herbs, so I'm gonna sprinkle a few on. A great thing about these is as long as you have the pastry, you can make as many Pop-Tarts as you like. So I'm gonna keep on going. Our Pop-Tarts are almost finished. We just need to seal them up. I have a little bit of egg wash here, and all you want to do is just brush it around the edges of each Pop-Tart. Then take the other piece of pastry that's going to be his hat. Sometimes it helps if it's a little bit bigger, and then just place it over your Pop-Tart. If you need it to be a little bit bigger, then feel free to roll it out a little bit more. And then we're going to take a fork and then just go around the edges and seal the edges together so all of the filling stays where it's supposed to be. And then with your fork also pierce a few holes in the top, and this lets out steam during the baking so your pastry doesn't pop open. Then just a little extra touch to make sure it is beautiful golden brown coming out of the oven. We are going to egg wash the top again. Okay, I'm going to go and finish off the rest of my Pop-Tarts. So at this point, if you don't want to bake them off, you can actually freeze them raw, and then they will live in your freezer happily for around 8 weeks. And then whenever you come in from school or from work, you can pop them into the oven from frozen and bake them until they're golden brown, and they are the perfect treat. And that's it. We are all glazed and ready for the oven. Bake your Pop-Tarts off at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius until they're lovely and golden brown. My timer just went off and I can smell the buttery pastry in the air, so let's go check on our Pop-Tarts. This is the sign of a good puff pastry. Do you see all those lovely layers? This is perfect. And just look at how golden brown they are. They're going to be delicious. Our Pop-Tarts have cooled down a little bit, and I'm happy to see that the filling is still inside them. So I'm just going to pick one, open it up and see what's inside. Look at that beautiful flaky pastry. Okay, what's in this guy? Ham and cheese. Oh, look at that. Lovely pastry, warm, gooey cheese on the inside. This was a great suggestion because it tastes like a ham and cheese toasted sandwich, but even better because it's wrapped in pastry. Let's move on to our next one. Oh, spinach and ricotta. Yummy, look at that. I love when they're thick with filling, just like this one. The thing I like about this flavor is that it's like really savory. It kind of reminds me of dinner. It's absolutely delicious. Fantastic suggestion, I love it. Okay, so we know what the last flavor is. I just have to find out which one it is on the tray. And it is pizza! Yummy, yummy. Look at that flaky pastry, tomato, mozzarella, everything you would want wrapped up in pastry. This pizza Pop-Tart is a win-win. Pizza and buttery pastry, how can you go wrong? Thank you so much for all the fantastic suggestions, baking along with me today and helping me create this episode of Bigger Bolder Baking. Follow me on my social media. I post every day and talk with my other bold bakers. I'll see you back here next week for more Bigger Bolder Baking.